Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm going to give us the update of today. I have studied extensively and intensively 5, if I'm right, or 4 Israelite communities. One is the Igbo people. Number 1, I have spent more than 25 years doing almost nothing apart from studying the Igbo people. And to doubt that if you want to know how the biblical Israelites lived, simply look at the Igbos, even in their degraded form in 2024. If you doubt it, you are both a reckless, careless, and ignorant skeptic. This can't be denied. I've made it my life's mission to keep on saying this truth and to wait for any challenge to this clear statement that I have made. I have also studied the communities that we call the Jews, the Ashkenazi, the Sephardi, the Mizrahi. These are the communities, broadly speaking, that I have studied, and they represent the Jews to me. You have to include the Karaites, who split up from Judaism. You have to include them in the Jewish category. The Samaritans, this very tiny community that has been at odds with those we call the Jews, and the Beta Israel. These are the 4 communities that I have studied. So when I talk about the Israelites, I refer to them. Of course, they have subdivisions. The subdivisions are, like in the case of the Igbos, the descendants of the Igbos in the New World and in Europe. I have studied them. And I have published extensively about them. I have studied the languages of the first 3, or read about the languages of the first 3, the Igbo, the Jews. Of course, they have the same language with the Samaritans. So I have studied the languages that they developed. When I bring out my findings, people will see why I can be so bold to say that I'm waiting for challenges, and the challenges will not come. The Beta Israel did not manage to develop a language, but they have been identified with a religion that resonates, that reminds people of the religion of the biblical Israelites. So that is why, to me, they are part of the family. Because my primary methodology is culture. Not DNA, not even history, but culture. The Jews have not studied the Igbos the way I have studied the Jews, but I have seen some traditions of the Jews which convinced me that there was a time the Jews and the Igbos were one people. This has not earned me friends in some quarters who prefer to use color as a marker of identity. But I'm a scholar. I'm not a politician. I don't pander to political interests. And neither am I retaliatory that some Jewish individuals have denied the identity of the Igbos does not mean that I have to deny the identity of the Jews. If what the scholarship reveals to me is different. If the Igbos mourn evil people are alive, Josephus wrote this. If somebody is so bad that the Igbos decide, Naga acquire Nando, and I see the Ashkenazi doing the same thing in New York 20 years ago. And I know that the Ashkenazi were not in Africa. So they couldn't have learned it from the Igbos. What it says even to the dumb, the deaf, is that at a point, the Ashkenazi and the Igbos were one people. This is what I will do. I will say they were Israelites. Now let's get into the business of the day. We all say Israel, that's biblical Israel, was a kingdom of priests. I'm going to talk about one of the classes of priests now, the Nze. If Samson was to come to life, he will be called Nze, Nazarite. Every Igbo man and woman was encouraged to be an Nze. Nze, which by the way means the same thing in Igbo and Hebrew, even in Israeli Hebrew, which is modern Hebrew, means someone who lives by a certain lifestyle, someone who avoids sin. So you can see why every Igbo was encouraged to be an Nze. Traditionally, if an Igbo Nze is passing by the roadside or by the way, and he hears a dirty word coming out from somebody, coming out of the mouth of somebody, he has a responsibility to stop, issue a fine. Because the land and the society have to be kept totally clean and pure and free of sin. I began my investigations into this subject accidentally. I noticed that my grandmother, Mazuano, my maternal grandmother, was exceptionally righteous, extremely kind, in order to escape beatings from my mother, not my father. My father was not into beating. We spent a long time, we spent a lot of time with Ine, that's grandmother. In the mornings, this old woman, she was old because I was the second to last born of my parents. So by the time I met Ine was already advanced in age. In the mornings, Ine will give me my food, prepare 4 extra helpings, place them by the side of the door, and head into her farms. She was a workaholic. Always precautious, always ahead of his time. At a point I said, who is this food meant for? And they said, it is for it is for the fatherless and the motherless. Because when we were growing up, the society was filled with orphans of Biafra. So they made it a point of duty to place 4 helpings for those whose parents had gone. She was a Nazarite. So I came back to the house and said, Mama, we call my mother Mama, we call her mother Nne. Why is Nne so upright? Mama said, she took all the Nazarite vows that a woman would take. So she was compelled to live a holy life. Since everybody, man, woman, was mandated to become a Nazarite because the Nze became part of the priesthood. Remember, in biblical Israel, we had the Aaronites, that's the Kohanim. We have the Levites. We have the Osu, Netivim, those who were like the Gibeonites. And then the Nze. Everybody was encouraged to be Nze. If you become an Nze, you become part of the priestly class. And everybody was encouraged to be it. Because when we say that Israel was a a priestly, that Israel was a nation of priests. But we don't go on to explain how everybody in Israel was a priest. What does it do? It leaves people without the experience of the culture to tell us who the Israelites were. Lately, I began to study with this colleague who lives in Florida, a lawyer like myself, and lawyers. We argue, we want to get at the facts, and the questions from this individual is forcing me to dig deeper and deeper. Interestingly, this individual is Igbo, but Igbo of the diaspora. Mother, Igbo, father, Syrian Jewish. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it about the Nze. Contemporary Igbos wear the red cap because the Nze is mandated to wear a red cap. The women must tie a red scarf so that all the time they will be wary of the sanctity of human life. And remember, the Igbos, that is the Hebrews, believe that you can take life with your mouth. Nkwutomo garanya kobubuya is an Igbo saying. Interestingly, in the Shulchan Aruch, Judaism also has the same, that with your mouth, you can commit murder. So, my friends, my brothers and sisters, you've had it for the week. We will continue to study and to do, because the commandment is, let this book of the law always be on your hearts, on your lips. Because, trust me, the world will become paradise again when the laws in the Torah become dominant again. I explored what I just said in this book. I compared the Igbo civilization, that is the Israelite civilization, with every contemporary civilization, and the Igbo civilization was ahead. No army, no standing police, no prisons, no prostitutes, no man or woman was single. Everybody had a mate. No hunger. In a society that had suffered 300 years of slave raids, it was that stable. Until that old enemy of Israel crept in again, longing after the false gods. Gods to the others, but charms and amulets to us. Remember, what's idolatry to Israel? The test, the standard is higher. To the Israelite, to even fear anything apart from the fear of Isaac is idolatry. And this story keeps on developing arms and legs. The Igbos were the only people that said, the contemporary Igbo thinks that Alosi means gods. But the Igbos have a saying that if those Alosi Bakariaike, it will be told the wood it is carved from. And by the way, the Igbo in his traditional elements was mocked as Onye Ogommo. Mo means spirit. The missionaries who were worshiping objects that can be seen, saw the Igbos. They were worshiping an object that cannot be seen, so they mocked the Igbos as the Ogomwo, worshippers of the spirit. The Almighty God, Chukwu, you are being praised here. You will raise Israel again. Israel, the children of your friend Abraham, of your servant Isaac, the children of Jacob. They will honor you again, and you will they will be carried on the wings of eagles, because they will do Umena and Torah. Thank you. Have a beautiful week.